Oh, I'm Gary, and this is
Herschel.
okay. We're here at Herschel's talk, and I mentioned to Herschel that we could talk about any subject he wanted to. So, what's on your mind?
I've thought about, when you said you wanted to do this, of what I'd talk about.
Right?
Um, I think I would like to talk about my spiritual journey.
Let's do it. Start. Go for it.
Okay.
Because we're both on the journey.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Definitely. Um, I, as growing up, went to church, Sunday school, and all that, but not that often. Um, My dad was scoutmaster for 35 years,
Okay.
and I had three brothers, and we all became Eagle Scouts.
Okay. So you had a good sense of community from being involved. Right.
and all that, and uh, and then after high school, I got drafted in the Vietnam War, and so when you go to war, you start thinking about a higher
Right.
deal, that asking for protection.
Right.
Just get me back home,
Right. It's called fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know.
And I remember after boot camp, I went home for 15-day leave before I went to report to my ship.
Right.
I was in the Navy. And I remember the taxi dropped me off at the gates in San Diego to go report to my ship.
Right.
And they told me what pier my ship was in. And so I walked down to the pier. It was, I had to be the ship at midnight or I'd be in trouble.
Yeah, AWOL.
AWOL type thing. But I was right down to the minutes.
Okay.
So I was walking a little fast to make sure I get there on time. I actually got to the ship about 5 minutes till midnight.
Yeah. What was that like with all those giants there, those big ships?
That's
scary.
That's what hit me. Through boot camp, it didn't really hit me what was going on.
Right.
Not like it did walking up to the ship,
Okay.
because on the other side of the pier was the New Jersey battleship. And I was on a guided missile destroyer, and we were right across from it. And here's this New Jersey battleship, and its big guns.
Yeah.
They had 16-inch guns on that.
I've seen them.
And that's when it hit me, going, what the blank am I getting myself into?
Right.
At that time.
Right.
I did, I was able to, they put me in the engine room as my duty. I was throttled and I ran the speed of the ship.
Okay.
Type thing. So we spent 11 months over in Vietnam.
Okay.
It was getting close to Christmas time when we left San Diego. And we got over there. We first stopped off in Hawaii for a few days. And then there we were assigned to what they call the gun line in Vietnam.
Okay.
So we spent 11 months, but we didn't spend the whole 11 months on the gun line. We were able to do a little R&R back in the Philippines.
Okay.
So we did it like that. So all the stuff we went through, I think the 11 months we were over there, we went through 5,000 rounds of 5-inch shells.
That's crazy.
And my bunk was under
You just
the gun mount.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. There was times where went 3 days without sleeping.
Okay.
And it was hot and that humidity and all that. And down in the engine room, it's averages about 110, 120 degrees. Constantly taking salt pills. Anyway, we went through all that. We got back to the United States, and 4 of us on the ship decided we'd get an apartment in San Diego.
Okay.
Just to get off the ship.
And what side of the bridge? The San Diego side or there's a little island?
The San Diego side.
Okay.
In fact, it was over by a famous park.
Okay.
It was where our apartment was. So we did a lot of partying.
At that age, you're supposed to.
Yeah. And, you know, there was Tijuana that was close by.
Yes.
And we did a lot of partying and come back. But one night, we got in discussion of what we went through over Vietnam. All
Okay.
4 of us type thing. And one of the guys made a statement that there will always be war. Man will always want to kill another man. They would fight over. That's the way they would solve their problems, is go to war. And that hit me. And I said, if we all thought like that, we would have killed each other off a long time ago.
Right. Right.
I said, I'm gonna learn something from this war, where I'm going to try to teach that war is not the right thing. And that's where I started really my spiritual.
Okay.
Of course, everybody there said, man will always kill man. There will always be war. And I really got irate about it.
Yeah.
And I said, if you had that attitude, yeah. But they said, well, one man can't change the world. I said, no, but I can sure plant seeds.
Yep. Yep.
And so that started me on my spiritual journey.
Yeah. And you know, at that same time, we were protesting the war here.
Yeah.
And because we were of like minds about that, you don't need to kill each other. You know, what's this about anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Why was there a war over there? The best anybody could come up with was the oil fields over there.
Mm-hmm.
It was about money. Okay. That's all it was about. And we were struggling for control, just like every dominant society has done when they conquered a easier to conquer society, and they took over their country. It was always about the assets of the country. Mm-hmm. You know, whether the gold or the oil or the whatever.
Well, when I got back, I found out my congressman in Missouri, that's where I was raised, had stock in ammunition companies.
Okay.
And he was always voting to keep the war going.
Of course, he was making money.
He was making money.
Yeah. And he probably had plants in his state that was making ammunition too.
Oh, yeah.
And keeping jobs in the state. That's what politics are.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, we know that now. We didn't back then.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that after I got back, I was only back for about, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I met my wife, Linda.
Okay.
And she was protesting the war.
Okay.
And marching in civil rights parades.
Yeah. And she saved us.
Yeah.
We were taken beating until the women joined in.
Yeah.
You saw, you knew what happened to us. Okay.
Yeah.
The dogs and the hoses and just being beat.
Oh yeah.
You know, we even tried a tactic of us kids leading the group, so they won't do that in front of national TV. And no, they did that. Okay, so that didn't work. We tried everything, man. You know, but then when the women came on board, gave us enough traction to get that momentum, it worked.
Yeah.
So I feel you there, and I'm glad for Linda. You know, I'm glad for her. Like you said, one man can't change it. One man can change it. In this case, it was a woman.
Yeah.
Linda.
Yeah.
Her part in it helped.
Oh,
My
definitely.
part in it helped. Yours helped.
Yeah.
You know, one person can. Now, you were saying your spiritual journey. That sounded like, first of all, you're justifying socially how you're going to react to the world around you.
Right.
No, tell me about your spirit.
It was Allie, come on now. It was I don't know. It woke me up.
Okay.
It got me searching.
Okay.
Studying, and then my wife Linda, she was searching at the time too, but she found out that she belonged to the same church as I belonged to.
And which church was that?
It was the Reorganized Church of Latter-day Saints.
Okay.
I was raised in Independence, Missouri, and that's the world
Okay.
headquarters. That's where basically where the Mormons started, and then went to Utah after that.
Okay.
But I think my wife's fifth great uncle was Joseph Smith.
Okay.
And
whoa.
And the prophet of the church then married us.
Okay.
Back in 1970. So we were both still searching. We both didn't agree some of the things as the church. And of course, we were, I guess, considered hippies at the time. We were what they call free spirit. And we were both studying different spirituality, different religions. At one time we became Baha'is.
Okay. My neighbor is like that. She's Baha'i.
Yeah, we were Baha'is about 3 years.
Okay.
And we went on. Linda is an avid reader, and I have a hard time opening a book sometimes.
Okay.
But she convinced me on some books to read and stuff. The most recent that I've been reading is Law of Attraction.
Okay.
About we're just after the Baha'is, we went back to the church, and then we ended up going to AME.
Okay.
After we went through, because our grandchildren were half black and half white, and we wanted them to experience an African American church.
Okay.
So we ended up being 8 years there.
Okay.
Both me and Linda were in the gospel choir for 8 years.
I can believe it, because that gospel music is meant to grab your heart.
Oh, yes.
It was meant to help us with our struggle. So
yeah,
it gets you.
Yeah, and it was quite an experience, because the woman that was the choir director was the wife of the pastor, and she had a voice like Whitney Houston.
Okay.
And she'd been a choir director since she was 13 years old. And
It's been hard to quit that church.
Just
Just for the music.
yeah, it was. It was quite an experience. We got to sing for the mayor of Spokane, Washington, and the choir director. She sang every 4th of July down at the park.
Okay.
She's not wanting to leave.
Which want me to stop things? You could take her.
Yeah, let me take her.